am I not the only one you're telling your dreams to? And I was like, um, why? And I'm on a new vibration. I'm building my own foundation. Yeah. Oh, you won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. Hey guys, what is up? It's your favorite Storytime YouTuber, your girl Mariah, coming back at you guys with another story time. Thought I'd share with you about a time I had a little high school bus crush. This guy didn't have very much nice things to say about me, and if you guys are interested in hearing about the main stuff he had to say, then just keep on watching. I'm at my daughter's school right now because she's receiving an award. It's not until 1, it's like 12:45. So this story actually came about because I had went to go donate one day. After I donated, like hours later, I picked up my kids from school. I mean, I don't tell my daughters all of my stories. I tell them like my bullying stories or like stories from when people were mean to me in school and stuff, just so that way they can kind of get understanding, like, hey, like I've been bullied, like I understand. I just try to keep that aspect of my life a little bit open with them. So I was telling my daughter the background story of this guy. I want to say my freshman year, I was riding the bus to my high school. So I would ride the bus there and back home. And there was this guy that kind of moved in, I want to say maybe like September, October-ish. I know for sure he wasn't there when we first started school, but maybe like a month later he started. I used to live in like a trailer park, and I stopped living there, but I knew the bus driver that her route was that area because my older brother was like really cool with the bus driver. When he left high school, I was just starting high school, and he told the bus driver like, hey, this is my little sister, like look out for her, kind of thing. So my parents wanted for me to ride this bus. Even though we didn't live in this trailer park anymore, they would drive me to the trailer park in the morning so I can be at that bus stop and catch the bus with this specific bus driver. I had a few friends that lived in this trailer park because I grew up with them, you know, in school. And one of my friends, we're gonna name her Trinity. She was so sweet to me. Like, I've known Trinity, I grew up with Trinity, I want to say since like middle school-ish. I don't remember her going to the same elementary. Maybe she did. Trinity girl, if you know who you are, you're watching this, let me know if we went to the same elementary, because for some reason I can't think that far back right now, but I know for sure in middle school, and she was always really sweet. Now, Trinity was one of those girls that got along with everyone, well, from what I saw. And like, I would see the most popular girls like talking to her in PE and stuff. She would talk to me. I had her for some classes, she would talk to me. She was never rude to me. She was somebody I kind of got close with because she lived in that trailer park. There were times that I couldn't be picked up right away from my dad. My dad was like hustling, cutting grass, like trying to afford a living for us. He would ask if I could find someone, like their parents were okay with me going to their house after school and maybe staying like a couple hours. Well, Trinity was one of the girls that I would go after school and hang out with her and stuff, and her mom was cool with it. But during that time we got really close. This is how I know Trinity. Now, Trinity had a best friend, and we're gonna name this girl Arabella. Arabella was one of those girls that I envied, but because I wanted to be her. Like, knowing that now, she was skinny, okay, and y'all know skinny was in. Like, now it's everyone wants to be thick, but skinny was the look, okay? Everyone wanted to be like super thin. I've never been a thin girl. In second grade, I was wearing a size 14 in juniors. That was just like my bottom half. My hips and thighs have just always been big. Like, I should show y'all a picture of my tia. Like, my tia on my dad's side, that woman, like, ever since I was little, I just always remember her having like really big legs, and like that's me. I've always had big legs. I would see her and I knew like thin was in, and I wanted to be like her. She had all the name brand clothes, okay? She had Aeropostale, Abercrombie, Hollister. She would wear like the nice like name brand high-end clothes back then. Like, everyone wanted to have name brand stuff. American Eagle. Her shoe game was like lit, girl. Like, she was on top of her shoes. She had Nikes, Air Maxes, Converse. Like, every time I saw her get on the bus, she has a different shoe. And on top of that, I've always been someone that wanted really pretty long, tight, curly hair. And Arabella had long, black, beautiful, tight, curly hair.
She was one of those people who didn't need makeup. She reminded me a lot of Cassie. She was one of those girls. And on top of that, she spoke Spanish. She had a little best friend. And this is before Linda came into the picture. So, you know, me and Linda were cool and stuff, but like I didn't have a best friend to like be with me all the time. And she was always with Trinity. And I just wanted to be her. Like, I wanted to be her size. I wanted to have her hair. I wanted to have her clothes. I wanted to have her lifestyle. But I couldn't get myself to admit that. I would look at her and be like, I can't stand her. Right? But it wasn't that. It's because I wanted to be her. This guy, we're going to name him Felix. Felix, in a way, kind of, to me, I know you guys don't know what pendejo looks like. But to me, Felix kind of looks like a downgrade, not even great value, like I would say like Clover Valley Dollar General version of pendejo. He had like the prominent nose. He would wear contacts sometimes. I remember that. He had like green eyes, but because of his contacts. But he had like bigger ears than pendejo. Pendejo has like a decent sized ear. It's not too small, but he had like big ears. So he wasn't even great value, but he was skinny, okay? He wasn't like thick or nothing. He was just skinny. But he did have a sense of style a little bit. He would get a fade, but like he had high curly hair. And I just knew him to be a Puerto Rican, right? And I had like this thing for like Puerto Rican back then. I was just like drawn to them because of, I forgot what I named him. I feel like I named him like Samuel or something in one of my videos. If you guys missed that and I talked about my high school crush, I'll link it down below. But he was Puerto Rican, so like I was just on this like Puerto Rican boy curly hair bandwagon. Okay, I would sit way in the back of the bus, like the one of the last, like maybe the highest I would go would like be like the third row, but I wanted to be in the back of the bus where no one saw me. And I noticed that he started sitting in the back of the bus too, like either on the seat across from me or like behind me, but like he was chilling back there too. I was in a very insecure state. I had this yarn like sweater. There was like a beige color sweater. It was yarn like, and it was one that my sister like handed down to me that she didn't wear anymore. I would use it to hide my stomach. I didn't have like a stomach hanging over my pants, but I was pudgy, I guess you could say. I wanted to be like Arabella, and I was far from Arabella. So to kind of conceal that, I would wear the yarn jacket like this. Like I would put my arms through the sleeves and I would like hold it over my stomach at all times. My brother, he used to buy our school supplies and our school clothes because my parents couldn't afford it. And my brother could only buy us what he could afford. So my brother had bought me like maybe 2 or 3 colored polos from Aeropostale, and I wore the hell out of them. I wanted everyone to see my little butterfly. I would be protruding sweat. We were coming to his bus stop and I would see him walking toward me, like toward the back. I wouldn't be cool. I would immediately just start sweating. Like you would have thought like the AC was broken in the back of the bus or something, because I promise you, like I'm not being dramatic. Like I would sit there and be like, my armpits and everything would just be sweating because I have this sweater on me, or I would be wearing it, and then I would have my backpack in front of me and I'll be like, is he looking at me? Is he looking my way? Can he see the sweat on my upper lip? Do I look fat sitting right here? Like is he looking at my 5 chins? Like girl, I was so much in my head. And when I was telling this to my daughter, she was like, Mommy, did you have anxiety? Like, were you getting anxiety sitting back there? And I was like, you know, Mama, like, I think I was. I think I was getting anxiety being like freshman. Now thinking back, like, maybe I always had, I don't know. But I just remember feeling like that. Like, oh my gosh. Like, okay, so back to what I was saying. Every time I was around Felix, I kind of got like, I guess, anxiety. I remember Arabella starting to catch the bus with Trinity. At first, they would sit in the front of the bus, but then as time went on, I'm not sure, maybe Arabella was seeing Felix around school, or maybe they had a class together, or what. Basically, she started sitting in the back of the bus where I was at and where Felix was at. Then I started seeing them like flirting and like talking to each other. Like they didn't really know each other. You can kind of tell, but Arabella was flirting with Felix. I was definitely looking at Arabella sideways like, why are you talking to my man? Like, where did you even come from? As time goes on, I want to say maybe like over a span of like 2 weeks, Arabella, Trinity, and Felix started getting off at Felix's bus stop. I put 2 and 2 together that they were like going to like smoke and stuff. I was getting jealous. So I was like, oh my gosh, like he's starting to get to know Arabella before it's like he's gonna choose Arabella over me, like as if I was even like talking to him. I always kind of had dreams, like really intuitive dreams, like dreams that super like vivid and like they feel very real. They're kind of like premonitions, I guess, or they'll kind of show me a bigger picture of like what's really going on in my life. My mom has taught me how to interpret my dreams, so I've always been able to like read my dreams. Well, I had a friend, we're gonna name her Cynthia. And Cynthia's so sweet. Cynthia was so pretty. All these guys always wanted her. She's tiny, big boobs, and to me, she kind of looked like Selena Gomez. People would tell her she kind of looked like Selena Gomez. I used to hang out with Cynthia like during my lunches, during breakfast, like when we were eating, we would always eat together. I remember that. And Cynthia actually lived in our neighborhood. She didn't ride the same bus, but she lived in that neighborhood where the train was at. And Cynthia was also into smoking and stuff, so she knew like people were always selling, and she kind of like knew those people, like mutual friends, but she didn't hang out with them. She just knew of them. She ended up telling me that she had Felix, I think, in her art class. I'm pretty sure it was her art class because art was like an elective. You know how you can have like older grades in your electives. They ended up having to be paired up together. So it was like small world. Like Cynthia ends up knowing Felix. I'm always telling Cynthia about my dreams and stuff. And I end up getting so obsessed with Felix that I wasn't only telling Cynthia about my dreams, I was also telling like all my other friends, like all my other classes, about my dreams and about how I really feel like Felix likes me. Because it went from like, if you guys seen like my older videos, I did mention about like the girl who wanted to fight me because she thought that I wanted her baby unalived or something. Try to find that video and I'll link it down below if you guys missed it. But it was kind of like a similar situation with the boy, but with Felix. And I wasn't really the best at handling like guy situations. I would be obsessed. Okay, I would be obsessed. I started talking too much, and I started talking too much to the wrong friends. Word was getting out. Basically, I was into, which was Felix. I noticed Felix started like kind of looking at me a little different, like weird, like ugh, like kind of disgusting. He never really even used to look at me, but now he was looking at me. When he did look at me, he looked at me like, ugh. Felix and Arabella started dating, like over like a month span. I started seeing them holding hands together, walking in the hallways together, and I was like, of course she got with him, like of course, because I'm into him, and now all of a sudden now he has a girlfriend, which is Arabella. So I really started not to like her. She had my man, she had the hair I wanted, she had everything I wanted. So I was like, obsession, like I was basically giving like Katie Heron talking about Virginia George. Like I just wouldn't, it was like coming up like word vomit. Like I was just always talking about Felix, that I did it a little bit too much, and word got back to Arabella. So one day Cynthia tells me that she went to go smoke with her friend. Her friend was a mutual friend of Felix's. And of course, they were all smoking together. One thing led to another, and Cynthia said that she got Felix alone and she brought me up because at some point I had wanted Cynthia to bring me up to Felix to see like what he thought about me, or if he thought I was pretty, or like whatever, because they had art together. So one day I go into the cafeteria after I get off the bus, and I'm about to have breakfast with my friend Cynthia. And I told Cynthia, I was like, did you talk to Felix? Like, what did he say? She goes, I did, Mariah, but am I not the only one you're telling your dreams to? And I was like, why? She goes, because Mariah, he had something to say about you that I didn't tell him. And like, they weren't really nice things either. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean he didn't have nice things to say about me? And so she goes, well, I brought you up, and I was like, she rides your bus, she's pretty, and she thinks you're cute or whatever. And he was like, oh, that weird girl, she's kind of fat. And she's like, she's not fat, like she's a little chubby, but she's not fat. He was like, oh, I know what she is, she's always staring at me. And she was like, she stares at you? And he goes, yeah, she's really weird. She was staring at me, she's really weird. And she's always like awkward and stuff. And not only that, like, I know she's crazy. And Cynthia's like, what do you mean? It's like, I heard she talked about me so much. She talked about how she had dreams about me, and like, she doesn't know that some of the people she talks to actually know who I am, and I've been knowing this whole time that she's just like, and I was like, he didn't like me because I was overweight and that I just wasn't his type, and I was weird and I was crazy, which low-key wasn't lying, but I was running my mouth, girl. I was mental, okay? He said all these things about me, and he's like, I would never want to be with her, like, she's ugly, like, da-da-da-da. I tell this to my daughter, right? And she's like, Mommy, like, that's really mean stuff. And I was like, yeah, I had like the biggest crush on him, girl. Like, I just thought I was gonna marry him. I really did have dreams about him. Like, I was like, you know, I was feeling him. And she's like, but why is he so mean about it? I was like, because sometimes that's how guys are. The reason why I brought up the story to her is because going back to me donating, I was sitting in my bed and I was just like, I was, you know, hooked up or whatever. And I kept noticing somebody kept like glancing over at me. Like, you know, when you feel somebody keeps like looking at you. And so I look this way to like, what? Like, who the heck is looking at me? And I'm like, why does this guy look so familiar? And I'm looking and I'm like, is that Felix? Y'all. There was no glow up at all. I don't know if he was looking at me because he was like checking me out. I don't know if he was looking at me because he was trying to recognize me too. But he could not stop looking at me. And I was like, what was I thinking? And so all of these memories when I had the biggest crush on him and all of that just started coming back to my head. And I was like, I remember when he said I was fat and weird. I do want to say a few things. I want to thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I keep gaining more and more subscribers as the weeks go by, and I am so appreciative. I said this in my last video. Y'all really don't understand how much your love and support means to me. I do want to say thank you for commenting. If you have nice things to say, the comments giving me advice, I'm gonna need advice. The comments trying to be passive aggressive, saying that I sound crazy, but yeah, you love me, like all this. If that's the case, get off my channel. Like, I don't need your support that bad. Like, it's not that serious. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that notification bell for the next time I post on Storytimes, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.